What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. So yesterday we had that Nintendo Direct, and I gotta say, it was pretty good. There were a lot of really exciting announcements in there, including one game that I was very happy to see. We're gonna go over all that here today. Also, we are gonna be talking about a new response from Microsoft around the Activision Blizzard situation when it comes to exclusivity for big titles like Call of Duty on the PlayStation or even on the Switch. And we're also going to be talking about a new breakthrough that Sony has made when it comes to AI in games. Guys, if you enjoy these videos, make sure that like button helps out a ton. And if you're new here to the Spawnwave channel, make sure you subscribe down below and ring that notification bell so you can keep up to date with all the uploads here on the channel. And we're going to start today with the Metaverse. Have you heard enough about this yet? Because it appears that all of a sudden, everyone is talking about this, specifically when it comes to companies. Doesn't matter which one, they're all like, oh, Metaverse, what can we do with this? Well, now it looks like it's Bandai Namco's turn to talk about it. We can see this posted up over on VGC, saying Bandai Namco has revealed plans to develop its own IP Metaverse to help fans of its games interact. They say this to investors: in this intellectual property metaverse, we are anticipating virtual spaces that will enable customers to enjoy a wide range of entertainment on an intellectual property axis, as well as frameworks that leverage Bandai Namco's distinctive strengths to fuse physical products and venues with digital elements. We are aiming for open frameworks that provide venues for connections with and among fans and business partners. Through the IP Metaverse, we will establish communities among Bandai Namco and fans, as well as among fans themselves. Now, that last part, mentioning frameworks that leverage Bandai Namco's distinctive strength to fuse physical products and venues with digital elements, kind of sounds like they may be referring to NFTs, but they haven't really come out and said it just yet. They're looking to invest, by the way, $130 million into this project. Like I said, it appears that all of a sudden, ever since Facebook turned their name into Meta, it's just a massive all-out race to create the metaverse. And it appears that any company that is able to make it, at least from what they all believe, will basically own everything. Also, we did finally get the release date for Final Fantasy VI Pixel Remaster. It was sent out in a press release, and also they have updated the site. You can see that here, where it now states the date for February 23rd, of course, on Steam and on iOS and Google Play app stores currently. This is good to see. I mean, we heard that it was going to be coming out sometime in February, and we saw like kind of the HD 2D look to certain scenes and all that. So I'm sure we'll get an update around that when it does release. But the reason this is exciting is because after all of these have come out, that's when I would assume that Square will look towards consoles, as there are a lot of rumors going around that, yes, this series of games, hopefully just all of them in one package, will be coming to platforms like the Switch, where it makes a ton of sense to release it. So Square, do the right thing, package them all together, put it on a cartridge, nice case, maybe a slipcover, even a collector's edition. A lot of things they can do there, or they can just put it out all digital, I guess. Either way, though, good to see Final Fantasy VI Remaster got its release date not too far off, and then I'm sure we can look forward to some console versions of these games. Oh, and we had talked very briefly the other day around the Battlefield 2042 situation. Of course, rough launch, and it appears it's going to be a while before it's like at least ironed out. And we talked about that petition. Well, it keeps picking up steam. In fact, take a look at it now. Over 96,000 people have signed, and I mean, yeah, it's requesting a refund. If you're someone who paid $70, $80, $90 for Battlefield 2042 and you don't like it, you probably want your money back. And well, you can apparently sign a petition, and at this point, I guess it's above the amount for the class action lawsuit. They said around 50,000 signatures. I don't know what's going to happen with Battlefield 2042 because the concurrent player count has dropped off significantly now, and it just appears that people are starting to move on. I mean, that's the biggest thing here is there's always another game to play. I mean, like, always. So something like Battlefield 2042, or even as we've seen with Halo Infinite, which has struggled itself when it comes to concurrent player count, if it's not ready to go with a nice roadmap of new updates immediately after launch, people will start to move away from it, and maybe they'll come back later, but that leaves the game in a tough spot. And now we have a massive petition building against Battlefield 2042 looking for refunds. So we'll see if things get really crazy. Maybe they announce it going free to play, and then how they deal with the situation of people buying the game. But I guess we'll keep an eye on it. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. Let's start right away with that massive Nintendo Direct that aired yesterday. It was just over 40 minutes long, and did live stream it here on the channel. It was a lot of fun because there were some genuinely surprising announcements and some very exciting ones as well. We're gonna go through all the announcements here, and I know it wasn't gonna be for everyone because Nintendo has so many intellectual properties. If you hone in on just one and it's not there, you're probably gonna be pretty frustrated with it. Like, there was no Legend of Zelda, there's no Pikmin, but like I said, there were some pretty good surprises, especially from Square Enix, who seemed to show up in force for this Direct. Anyway, let's start at the top, and I am going to have one part of the Direct kind of off on its own in a separate section after we go over the Direct. So they did kick things off with a new Fire Emblem game, but probably not the Fire Emblem game people were hoping to see necessarily. Fire Emblem Warriors. Three Hopes coming June 24th, 2022. I mean, Warriors fans are, I'm sure, pretty excited, but if you're a Fire Emblem fan who was hoping for more of the tactical RPG style, unfortunately, this is not it. This is more of action-based game, of course. Advance Wars 1 and 2 Reboot Camp did get its release date April 8th. They also showed off online multiplayer, full voice acting. Take notes there, Game Freak. No Man's Sky randomly gets announced here, coming out in the summertime. That game has apparently been improved quite a bit since it released, and interesting to see it on a handheld like the Switch there with how large that game is supposed to be, right? Mario Strikers Battle League. This was, for me, the announcement of the show. I am really excited to see Mario Strikers here. I've been talking about the GameCube version forever now. It is one of my favorite games on that system, so seeing a brand new one now, and it's not that far off actually, is exciting stuff. In fact, they're gonna have 8 players on a single Switch using Joy-Cons or Pro controllers. They showed them all there, kind of in a bit of a mix there. It's also gonna have online play, which Nintendo has been talking more and more about online in online multiplayer with a lot of their games. Now they're gonna have full club mode where you and 19 other people can join up on a club and go against other clubs when you play online. So I guess you can build up, try to be the #1 club. So they should have rankings and everything there. Very, very good looking. June 10th, 2022. Not too far off. That's something you're going to see here a lot. In fact, most of the stuff they dated or went over was in the next 4 to 5 months at the most. They also showed off Splatoon 3 a bit here and mentioned summer is still at least their projected release window. Front Mission First, which is a remake for the first Front Mission on the Super Famicom, I believe. And then Front Mission 2 also getting a remake. Again, out of nowhere, but Square Enix was showing up here. Summer 2022, at least for the first one, and we'll keep an eye on the second one there. Disney Speedstorm, that's a free-to-play kart racing game with Disney characters that's coming in the summertime. Star Wars Force Unleashed, April 20th. By the way, I saw some people mention this on Twitter. This appears to be the Wii version of the game. Very strange. They wouldn't just use, like, the Xbox 360 version, but either way, there you go. Force Unleashed. I've played that game quite a bit in the past. Probably won't be checking it out here because I played it so much before, but if you have not, really, really cool game there. Assassin's Creed Ezio Collection, February 17th. SD Gundam Battle Lines, that's coming 2022. Chrono Cross Remaster and Radical Dreamers will be bundled together, and this is something we had heard rumored previously. I kind of thought we were going to see Sony present it, but no, Nintendo did. Coming April 7th, so again, not too far off for that one. We got more information for Kirby and the Forgotten Land, something called Mouthful Mode. Yeah, and it showed Kirby basically swallowing a car hole, a vending machine, an entire cone. It appears like it's going to have more and more gameplay features added in because of that. A lot of possibilities there. And of course, we already know it's coming out March 25th. Really looking forward to Kirby. The more they show it, the better it continues to look. We also had another look at MLB 2022. Kingdom Hearts Cloud Collection was shown off for some reason. Klonoa and Klonoa 2, a nice little bundle there of those games coming July 8th. I never really got into the series, but people have raved about it and been requesting a remaster of these games, so maybe I'll look into those. Portal Companion Collection coming out 2022, and then another left field announcement. Live Alive. Yeah, Live Alive. I'm gonna say it again. It was a game that came out in Japan on the Super Famicom, never left Japan at all. Now it's being localized in HD 2D format. This is a game that people requested all the time as a reproduction card because it did get a translation patch, but of course never officially released. This is exciting stuff, and it also looks like it's getting a physical copy, so I'll be picking that up immediately. July 22nd. Next, the Switch had its Wii Sports basically announced here, Nintendo Switch Sports, which will include tennis, bowling, chimbara, soccer, badminton, volleyball, and then golf will be coming later in an update, which was kind of odd. It will have full online play, and there is also going to be a play test coming February 18th. The entire game will be launching April 29th. It makes sense. I mean, Wii Sports basically sold the Wii, so I could see Nintendo Switch Sports continue to move Switch units along. I mean, it hasn't had any trouble as it is, but like this could continue the momentum for the Switch. They said they're halfway through its life, and seeing this release basically 5 years into the system kind of makes me believe it. We also have Taiko Drum Master. It's going to have Zelda and Undertale music in it coming 2022. Triangle Strategy. We know that's coming out in March. There's also a demo that is already gone live. It will allow you to play through Chapter 3 and then transfer your save data to the full game. So basically, you can at least start up your save file in Triangle Strategy right now. Cuphead, the Delicious Last Course DLC is coming June 30th. Metroid Dread getting an update. There's going to be Dread Mode, which is basically one-hit death mode. Rookie Mode, that's already available. And then Boss Rush Mode is coming out April 2022. I wonder when they're going to release the update where we find out what happened at the end of Balan Wonderworld. We'll keep an eye on that one. Nintendo Switch Online, getting Earthbound and Earthbound Beginnings already live. Of course, they couldn't say anything about Mother 3 because that would be just terrible, right? Zombie Army 4 is coming out. That's in April. Demon Slayer, June 10th. Lego Brawls, June 2022. 2 Point Campus. And then we closed out with Xenoblade Chronicles 3, that coming September 2022. And looking at that Xenoblade Chronicles 3 trailer, while it was small shots of the landscapes, which are always massive in these Xenoblade games, it looked very good graphically and the art style. So I'm excited to see more about Xenoblade Chronicles 3, and that's like the latest thing we had actually dated, well, with a month, September. So Nintendo really stuck to the first half to mid 2022, and they really set up kind of the beginning half of this year very, very well with a ton of announcements. And looking at the Direct, it was pretty good overall. I actually put up a poll where I had you guys grade the Direct, so we'll see what the community thought about this one later in the show. Next up, let's talk about one other part with that Direct, and it has to do with Mario Kart. When they brought this up in the Direct, I think people got pretty excited because they're like, oh, okay, Mario Kart, we're finally gonna see the next big game in the series. It's been a while. 2014 is when Mario Kart 8 came out, and then they ported it, of course, to the Switch in 2017 as Deluxe, and that's kind of been it. Nothing else really. Well, they announced downloadable content. Is that not the most Nintendo thing you've ever seen? Just when we thought we were all done with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, they try to pull you back in. Well, it looks like they're gonna be taking tracks from previous Mario Kart games and just remastering them for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and they have quite a few of them. In fact, they're gonna have an entire pass called the Booster Course Pass. For 8 courses per wave, there will be 6 waves totaling overall 48 courses. It's going to start March 18th, and it will continue to roll out as we go along all the way until the end of 2023. The entire pack will cost $25, but if you have the expansion pack now, that being the online service with the N64 and Sega Genesis games, it'll just come free to you then. I mean, technically you pay for the pass or the pack, I get it, but you'll basically just have access to it with your subscription service. And I guess that pretty much does it for Mario Kart 9 for this generation. We're gonna have to run through the entirety, I would say, of this pass that they have right now for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe until we get to find out more info about Mario Kart 9, and I'm still thinking that's going to be a cross-gen title. It makes sense to launch your next Switch with basically their most popular intellectual property, which is indeed Mario Kart. And trust me, I saw the disappointment online. It was like, well, what can you do? Mario Kart 8 Deluxe keeps selling. How does Nintendo monetize that further? You basically turn it into like a live service. It has a roadmap, so it's kind of like a live service then, right? I mean, that's what Nintendo has now done here with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which I guess roadmap, carts, I mean, that kind of makes sense, right? But that's where we are. The game is just too successful to not do downloadable content, but we've been asking for DLC for this game forever now. It's just weird that 5 years into the Switch's life, like 7 or 8 years, 8 years now after Mario Kart 8 originally released, we get this massive dump of downloadable content. But again, it's Nintendo being Nintendo. Next up, let's talk about Microsoft and that Activision Blizzard deal. There's been a lot of conversation around how Microsoft is going to treat large intellectual properties from Activision and Blizzard after the deal has closed and what they do with it when it comes to exclusivity, specifically games like Call of Duty that have done very, very well on Sony's PlayStation platform. Well, there was a blog post that was posted up on Microsoft's overall website, not like Xbox.com or anything. No. This is Microsoft taking a very broad approach to this acquisition, and I think it's pretty clear who they're speaking to here exactly. You could take a look at the title. It says, adapting ahead of regulation, a principled approach to app stores. Now, there's a lot in here when it comes to exclusivity, different app stores, all these different things. The part that obviously we're curious about when it comes to gaming, if you scroll pretty far down, but it says, we also recognize that regulators may well have other important questions as they review our acquisition of Activision Blizzard. We're committed to addressing every potential question, and we want to address publicly at the outset, 2 such questions here. First, some commentators have asked whether we will continue to make popular content like Activision's Call of Duty available on competing platforms like Sony's PlayStation. The obvious concern is that Microsoft could make this title available exclusively on the Xbox console, undermining opportunities for Sony PlayStation users. To be clear, Microsoft will continue to make Call of Duty and other popular Activision Blizzard titles available on PlayStation through the term of any existing agreement with Activision. And we have committed to Sony that we will also make them available on PlayStation beyond the existing agreement and into the future so that Sony fans can continue to enjoy the games they love. We are also interested in taking similar steps to support Nintendo's successful platform. We believe this is the right thing for the industry, for gamers, and for our business. So after reading that, all I can say is Sony might want to get that in writing, but I think what we're seeing here is Microsoft kind of working out some of the smaller details with regulators because they still have to get this deal through. And if you read all the way through this blog post, clearly they're talking to regulatory bodies who are going to be overseeing this massive, near $70 billion acquisition and the impact it could have on the market and the gaming landscape. That's a serious concern. Call of Duty gets ripped away and all these other properties that have done very well on competing platforms. Does Microsoft have too much control of these large intellectual properties? Well, Microsoft, I think, is looking at this saying, Call of Duty, yeah, it's big, but is it worth not being able to do this deal? Say, oh, it has to be exclusive to Xbox. And I'm sure any new intellectual properties they create with studios and developers at Activision will probably just be Game Pass or Xbox ecosystem exclusive. That I'm pretty sure of. But Call of Duty, we're thinking might just go to a 3-year cycle anyway. It might not even be yearly anymore. That's something they could have already been thinking about now. And then it's is it really worth fighting regulators just to get this thing through, to have one Call of Duty every 3 years exclusive to the Xbox or Overwatch or any of this stuff? For Microsoft, probably not. Like I said, they're looking more into the future for this large workforce they're about to acquire from Activision Blizzard and many, many studios and very talented developers. What can they produce for Game Pass going forward that could be exclusive to the Xbox ecosystem? So as it stands now, based on how this is reading, it does appear that Call of Duty, Overwatch, and other titles that are very large from Activision Blizzard will still remain multi-platform, and it looks like they are at least noticing the Switch's success. Mentioned here that maybe Call of Duty finds its way over to the Switch. We might talk about that a little bit more over the weekend, but as it stands now, it appears Call of Duty will remain multi-platform going forward, and you know what? That's probably best for everyone anyway. That way, if you have a PlayStation, you don't have to worry too much about Microsoft pulling those games away. And in our last bit of news, let's talk about an announcement that Sony made yesterday when it comes to AI and Gran Turismo. They actually posted up an entire video going through the process of creating an artificial intelligence through deep learning that was able to beat the best Gran Turismo racers out there. It was a really cool video to watch start to finish, a little under 10 minutes. I think it's worth checking out, but they did also go over it here, which we can see over on their Sony AI website, which this is a group that they formed, I believe, in 2020, and this is their first big announcement that they've made, saying Sony AI unveils Gran Turismo Sofy, a breakthrough in AI, demonstrates the power of AI to deliver new gaming and entertainment experiences. They say GT Sofy is an autonomous AI agent trained utilizing a novel deep reinforcement learning platform developed in collaboration between Sony AI, Polyphony, and Sony Interactive Entertainment. Each group contributed to the success of the project by bringing together expertise in fundamental AI research and development, a hyper-realistic, real-world racing simulator infrastructure for massive scale AI training. They go over all the things that GT Sofy was trained to master, which includes race car control, racing tactics, and even racing etiquette for like fair play and all this, which again, trying to make the AI act more like a real human driver, even like sportsmanship and different things there to avoid at-fault collisions. It's impressive stuff. And the idea, I guess, here is just being able to make the game better by having an AI who can act more like what a person, even a person who's really, really good at the game, would act like. I mean, they got to the point where Sofy continued to get better and better as they brought the AI in for testing, to the point where they ran Sofy against, like I said, the best of the best in Gran Turismo, and Sofy won. There was one corner they pointed out towards the end that was super, like really, really steep to get around, and it did this like drifting maneuver that like didn't necessarily look natural. I don't really know how many people would be able to pull that one off, but it did it every single time. So hey, I don't know if we're gonna get to a point where just AI in games are just incredibly good to where we don't need rubber banding anymore. But I think this is more leans into the side of just overall development, trying to understand the human element in things by using deep learning AI. It's an interesting world now in game development. And before we go to the comment of the day, we're gonna take a look at the poll that I posted up yesterday, where I asked, give the Nintendo Direct letter a grade. 25% said A, 42% said B, so that's actually pretty good overall. That means that 67% of people said that it was at least a good Direct overall, and then 20% said C. So, I mean, 87% said it was at least an okay Direct, 5% said D, and then 8% said F. I feel like if instead of Xenoblade Chronicles 3 to close out the show, it was like Breath of the Wild 2 gets its title reveal and like a date and all that, I think most people would have just said, hey, yeah, it's either an A or a B. There's like no doubt. Xenoblade Chronicles 3, while it looks really, really good and I'm excited for it, I understand it's like a much smaller audience than something like, oh, Breath of the Wild 2, or maybe they were ready with Mario Kart 9 and that closed things out. But looking up and down the list of announcements, there was a lot of good stuff there. And I mean, come on, Mario Strikers got announced. How can you give it anything less than a B? And we'll finish up with the comment of the day as you're seeing here. This is from Frozen saying, okay, I've changed my mind. My knee-jerk reaction to the 10 live service games by PlayStation was to instantly hate that decision. But as you said, maybe that will be a push into some actual creativity in that space. I'm so sick of the live service cookie cutter time suck games. If there was something fresh and new to experience, I might be interested. You know what? That's something I'm hopeful for, because the more I look at the roguelike genre that has continued to evolve, people are like arguing now if Sifu, for example, is a roguelike game. And I guess you could look at it and say it is, but if it is a roguelike game, it is certainly one that has changed things up quite a bit from what we would have looked at with something like Dead Cells. So maybe we get to a point where we have live service games, but we have a hard time being able to tell if they actually fit into the live service game category. That is, again, my hope as we evolve these games and the gameplay and the structure to that point to where it doesn't feel like it's that looter shooter Destiny style. It's all the same. I want some different things to come out of these 10 live service games. And I feel like Sony should understand that these games can't all be the same kind of live service game. So that's at least what I'm hoping we see over the next 5 to 6 years. And ladies and gentlemen, that's gonna do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit that like button, really helps out. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about here today. There was that massive Nintendo Direct yesterday. What did you think? What was your favorite announcement? And then what about the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe DLC? Are you disappointed that it appears Mario Kart 9 is going to be quite a ways off there? And then what about Microsoft saying, hey, Call of Duty and some of these other Activision Blizzard games, they're just going to stay multi-platform and maybe even go to the Switch? Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.